Hello, my name is Eric Izdebski, and I am your professor for IT 517, Software Project and Team Management. Now in this session, I'm going to be covering the most important document that you've got for the entire course, and that is the course syllabus. What does the syllabus tell you? Well, you're all experienced if you're in the master's program, so you already know about a syllabus. So I'm just going to cover the important things for this class. First of all, this is a hybrid online class. So every week there'll be virtual sessions, and then 3 times during the term, weeks 3, 6, and 9, we'll get together for an in-class session. In person, in class. Classroom 303, as a matter of fact. So Thursday the 24th of October, Thursday the 14th of November, and Thursday the 5th of December. We'll have class from 6 to 10 p.m. at the Alexandria campus. Next comes my name and my email address. I sure hope to hear from you and when you're asking questions and wanting to get some feedback about things that you've been doing in the class. Please email me. Now the office hours are also going to be on Thursday from 6 to 7 p.m. They're in GoToMeeting. It's already scheduled, so it's in Canvas. So you click the GoToMeeting link and you'll see a calendar, and all the sessions are there, and the individual links for those sessions will show up on that calendar. We will have office hours every week except the weeks of the class, since we're having the class instead. Prerequisites, well, you've already got bachelor's degrees, so you've completed the core courses. Course description. Okay, this is an introductory course for managing information technology and software development projects. So, software development project, software, information technology project, that can be a little different, a little broader. That could be major hardware upgrades, could be installing a data center and bringing it online. Obviously, there's still software involved in that, but you don't necessarily have people writing code. So we're going to be talking about all kinds of projects. The art and science of teamwork. There we go. Yeah, art of teamwork, I agree. It can be. Because you will have challenges that the science does not tell you how to deal with. A team and the focus of the roles on the team that we'll be discussing in the course are the project manager, the lead developers, the software engineers, supporting functions, business experts, and other stakeholders. Supporting functions bears mentioning. Those can be people working on the user interface. Those can be people doing documentation. They're writing test cases, performing the testing, whether it's setting up for automated testing or doing manual testing. Those are your perhaps some expert on the team who's involved in DevOps, in continuous integration and continuous development, which is essential. You may have agile project management going on for this particular project. If that's the case, then somebody's responsible for running that properly. All right, the objectives for this course, student learning objectives. I'm just going to read these quickly. Describe the systems view of project management and how it applies to information technology projects. Describe the 5 project management process groups, the typical level of activity for each, and the interactions among them. Describe an overall framework for project integration management as it relates to the other project management knowledge areas and the project lifecycle. Discuss the creation of a work breakdown structure. This is a critical part of any project, by the way. Using the analogy, top-down, bottom-up, and mind mapping approaches. Explain how various tools and techniques help project managers perform activity duration estimates. Discuss the differences between traditional project management and the variety of complex project management formats, agile, extreme, and hybrid. So there's science and there's art. The book will be covering principally the science side of it. The art side of it you'll be getting from online readings about projects, discussions with me about projects, the discussions amongst yourself, which is a critical part of the class, and the discussion boards, the papers you turn in, the assignments you get, that will expose you to both the art and the science. I've got a lot of experience in in project management, both in software and to some extent in very large scale industrial type projects that I was involved in. Okay, the textbook, Effective Project Management. This is the 8th edition. It's by Robert Wysocki. Yeah, Wysocki. You can find this on Amazon. I've provided the link to the textbook and the syllabus. And here's a bunch of important library information with all the links to the things that you are going to need for the class. The APA handbook is a critical thing on this list. This gives you the format for writing. This gives you the formats for how we do a reference list for your writings, as well as how we do in-text citations. So everything that you're writing, unless it's purely your own opinion, which will be probably never, you will need to have references for. And you'll need to have multiple references for every paper that you submit for your weekly assignments. And all those references must be cited in text inside your papers, in your assignments. So these links will help you. How are we teaching? Lectures, yes. Group study, well, group project, and we'll talk about that at length, yes. Guided discussions, yes. Demonstration, presentation method. The group project, I might as well just talk about that right now. That does require creating a presentation and then giving the presentation some way. Now, what I've done is I've set the course up so that you have multiple options on how to give the presentation. One is you make a video of your presentation where each team member, there'll be 3 people on each team for the group projects, gives the presentation for some of the slides. So you all get a chance to work on your presentation skills, get filmed giving it, and then submit the recording of the presentation to me. The other options that I'm providing, and this depends upon to some extent how many people are in the class and how many people, how many teams there are, and how when they get their work done, and how many people want to try these other options out. The other option is to give your presentation live in class. So if you're done by week 9, by the 5th of December, by that in-person class, you can give your presentation to the class. And then you don't have to make the video. So you might not want to make the video. Maybe you do want to make the video. There's pros and cons. You'll have to decide that for yourself. The final option is during week 10, we have another office hours period. So during that 1 hour period, I could have a limited number, that you'll have to schedule this in advance, by the way. I could have a limited number of teams give a presentation using GoToMeeting during the virtual office hours. And once again, if you do it that way, you don't have to do the video. If you just don't get things done in time for either of these other in-person options, then you need to make a video, a nice recording of the presentation using, proper, kind of doing it like what you're seeing right now. See the presenters on screen, see the material that they're presenting on screen, and I can give you some tips and pointers to software that would let you do that to make a good looking presentation. These are all skills, whether it's the technical skills for creating the good video, or the skills to give it online, or the skills to give it in person. These are all skills that you need to have, so it's good to practice them. All right, next key part of the syllabus, grading. 15% for participation and attendance. So attendance is satisfied by the weekly discussions, except during, every week, that's attendance. But during the week we have in class, then things change a little. I'm grading your participation in the class, and that's going to be the main part of your grade, is that in-class component during those weeks. So you can't just sit there. Weekly discussion board, 30%. That's a lot. That really is. This is important. And I'll explain how it ties into everything else. Then it says weekly assignments, 25%. Another huge chunk. So the discussions in this class are about the assignments. So you take a look at the discussion in Canvas, and it tells you what the topics are for the week. You write your essay responses, short paragraphs or maybe a whole essay on the topics from the discussion board assignment part, and then you turn that in, and you gotta get these turned in early. And this is important. Here's an important point. You need to be turning in your assignments around Thursday at the latest, because you need time for people to discuss these assignments. So get the assignment done by Thursday, post it on the discussion board, and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, be engaged in conversation about everybody's posts in the class. So you do your post, and then you reply to 2 other students about their posts. And specifically, you need to make thoughtful responses. You need to read and know what's going on here. You really should ask questions. So asking some intelligent questions about what they posted. And the original poster, for maximal credit, he needs to reply. So I want to see a discussion going on, right? Not just, I posted it and you replied and I never even looked at your replies, right? That's not a discussion. That's just, sticking a piece of paper on a cork board. So we want to have these be interactive. And the way you're going to get full credit for this part of the work is by being interactive. And the final piece is the group project. That's 30% of your grade. Now notice there are no quizzes in this course. There's no midterm. There's no final exam. So your grade is predominantly driven by the discussion topics, your participation in those discussions, how well you write your essay answers for the written assignment that gets discussed, and then that group project. Standard grading, you see here, that's simple enough. The weekly breakdown. Here's the weekly schedule. So we've got the start and stop dates of each week. We've got the chapters in the book to read. What the assignments are for each week are pretty straightforward. And then what learning objectives that this is tied back to. So these numbers refer to the objectives above that I already read to you. And then this learning objective column here, this is just kind of the high level. It's related to the chapters in the book. Now when you get down to week 3, you see in class, hands-on. We're going to start doing things, right? So week 3, you're going to meet all of your fellow classmates, choose your project teams, 3-person teams, by the way. Project leader for each team. And you're going to choose the topic of your project. And there's some guidance, not guidance, there's some rules, there's some requirements about that. You don't need to know what those are just yet. You'll find out in week 3. All right, weeks 4 and 5. So week 5 is an important week for the project to make sure everything is on track. So you've got your team, you've got your topic. You've already been presumably started the work on it, right? Then in week 5, your initial draft is due. So this is the draft PowerPoint presentation. The instructions on what that requires are, of course, in the actual assignments on Canvas. Okay, week 6, another in-class activity. And I'll be giving time during the in-class sessions to actually work on your project, work as a team together. Talk to me about it. Make sure you're getting, the coverage that you need to do to make sure you get as good a grade as possible, that you're meeting the expectations of the assignment. And if you've got any questions, please ask. That's what I'm there for. We'll be doing some other things during these assignments, just based upon how I see the course going. If I see weaknesses in discussions or the essays, then we'll talk about writing skills. We'll talk about the APA. If there's it's easy to lose points on these assignments if you just don't follow the instructions. So we'll discuss some of those skills because following instructions is important. All right, weeks 7 and 8, more readings and assignments and discussions. Week 9. So week 9 is the final in-class session. There'll be time to work on the projects. There'll also be time, if you're done by week 9, to present your project in class to the rest of the students and myself. By doing that, you don't have to make a video of yourself for the, as part of the part you turn in. You only have to turn in the PowerPoint because giving the presentation live counts for the video. So that's an option you have there that you might like. Similarly, in week 10, as I said before, we have an hour-long session. And during that session, you can also, if you schedule it in advance, because this could be a popular thing, if you schedule this in advance, you could get a time slot to give your presentation over the GoToMeeting system during that 1 hour window. Also during week 10, there still is a discussion in week 10, even though it's the very end of the class. Actually, I should say, there's an assignment week 10, but it's done as a discussion. And what that is simply my way of getting feedback on the course. So I want to hear from you. What worked? What didn't work? What could make it better? Are there other aspects of project management that we failed to cover that you think should be covered? Do you have some tips, some suggestions? What did we miss? Were there any technical problems that we need to know about? That's what I like to do in all my classes in week 10, is get feedback from the students, and then I can incorporate that into future versions of the class and make the class better for everybody. All right. I'm going to assume you know these general policies, so I'm going to not go through this in detail. So you've got attendance policies, when assignments are due. This says 11 o'clock, 11 p.m. on Sunday night. That's to give you an extra hour in case things go wrong when you're trying to submit the stuff. If you got it in your head to get it in by 11, then you're going to be safe. Diagrams. Put your name and course and anything like that on any diagram so I can keep track of who's sending in what. There are penalties for late work, right? There are also, if you're telling me in advance that you've got problems, then there's ways to perhaps avoid the late penalties for work. But here they are. They're pretty straightforward. You lose a letter grade, 10 points if it's a week late, or up to a week late. 15 points for up to 2 weeks. 20 points are 2 letter grades up to 3 weeks late. After 3 weeks late, I'm not taking any work. Okay? You can't go to week 6 and then say, oh gosh, I got to turn in weeks 1, 2, and 3. I'm so far behind in the class. You're going to get a 0. Unless there are extenuating circumstances, which you've already talked to me about. You don't tell me your stories, or issues or problems after the fact, because truth, very seldom do things come up right there at the end. That last minute, something happened and you couldn't get your work in on time. Well, you've already had a week to work on it, right? Or a week to work on everything. So there really isn't any last minute things that would cause multiple week delays that you don't know about in advance. Okay, APA style. This is really simple rookie stuff here, but people make rookie mistakes. Hopefully you grad students don't do that anymore. Follow these instructions. Proper naming of files, proper formatting of cover pages. To me, the most important part here actually is the references and the citations. And it says it right here, cite each sentence. So don't just give me a list of references. You have to use your references. Show me where you used your references in the paper. Discussion forums. This is important. Meaningful comments. I got some fine examples here, like good post. just be thoughtful and be considerate as well. Thoughtful, considerate, well thought out questions and comments about people's posts. Engage with the people that ask you questions on your posts so you can reply back to them and we get some real discussion going. That'll be fun to see. There's no extra credit. Okay, academic misconduct. AI and plagiarism. If the scores are too high on Turnitin, you get a 0 for that assignment until you fix it. You got to resubmit the assignment. Late submission may be allowed per faculty discretion. Okay. Yes, I let you submit it late when you run into these issues, because so often work's already submitted late in the period anyway. There's no time to resubmit it and to fix it and resubmit it. So I still give you time to do that. The second time you get a violation of either AI or plagiarism, then we're talking serious grade deductions. The best grade you can get is a C at that point. Third time, you fail the class. This happens. I failed students last term. Okay, final thing, netiquette. This is professionalism in communication, whether it's in email writing, whether it's in your discussion forum posts and replies and how you're treating your fellow students. It's simple professionalism across the board. So be professional. What's that mean? Well, really doesn't say what that means here. So I'll tell you. The things you post and the things that you send people, they stay, they exist. Read them before you send them. If you feel you need to run it through some type of grammar checker or something like that, do it. If you need to, when I say read it, I should say read it out loud to make sure those are the right words that you want to be saying. Sometimes a spell checker will mess you up. You want to have a good image. People are judged, like it or not, on communication. And so much of your business life, right, as you go out into the professional world, you may already be professionals actually, and just coming back to school to get your graduate degree. You do a tremendous amount of communications, both in person and in email and through other online vehicles on a regular basis. So you want to look good and you want to treat people right. They all want to be treated right, of course. Everybody likes that. So that's all I have to say there. All right, in conclusion, have fun in the class. Good luck in the class on your efforts. Use me in the lecture hours and the in-class sessions in weeks 3, 6, and 9. I'm here as your resource to help you. I was involved in a lengthy project building an aircraft carrier where I spent about 3.5 years on the project. It was a total of like a 7-year project. I ran a project where my company supported DARPA, and we ran the project for 5 years. Ran another project where we supported the Department of the Army, and I was part of a much larger project team in this case. And I guess we did that for, I'm gonna say about 6 years. I've done some smaller projects where it's just a 2-person team, where we might have worked on something for 6 months, and then projects where the teams were medium sized, maybe it was like 5 or 6 people, but then teams with maybe 20 plus developers, and then obviously in the shipyard on a aircraft carrier construction, lots of people. You never see all the people that are involved in that, but literally thousands of workers, but the core team running it is quite a bit smaller, but immense project planning that goes into something like that, as you might imagine. So I've done this for a long time. multiple types of customers, whether it was government or the military or local charities or the shipyard. So use me, use my experience, and we'll have a good time. Thank you.